After the game, Joe, Martha, and Sophie rounded up the family for their traditional victory meal at the local diner, though the atmosphere was noticeably subdued after the team's loss. Joe couldn't help but notice Mark's unusually calm demeanor. "Mark, you all right?" Joe asked, his concern clear. "You're usually pretty upset when your team loses, especially when it's a big game like this." Mark shrugged, his expression thoughtful rather than defeated. "I'll try better next time." Sophie, ever the observant one, piped up with her own question. "Why aren't you mad? Last time we won, you were still grumpy because you didn't score. And this time, you didn't even care we lost." Mark smiled faintly at his little sister. "There are bigger things to be upset about in life, Soph. Losing a middle school baseball game isn't one of them." Morris, understanding the weight behind Mark's words, interceded to diffuse the family's curiosity. "Hey, I think we should give him some credit for not losing his cool over this. Shows maturity, doesn't it?" Morris grinned as he ruffled Mark's hair. "Next game, you'll knock it out of the park." At the diner, they spotted familiar faces. Ben's family sat at the table next to theirs, while Jason's family took a spot further down. Ben, unable to contain his curiosity, leaned toward Mark. "Hey, you okay? I mean, not to be blunt, but you didn't seem bothered at all that we lost." Jason joined in, teasing gently. "Yeah, usually you'd be the first to complain about striking out." Morris gave Mark a small nod of encouragement. "Go on, kid. Hang out with your friends. You'll get plenty of time to catch up with me later." Mark hesitated briefly before leaving his seat to join Ben and Jason. Little Sophie tugged on Morris's sleeve, catching his attention. "Uncle Morris, next time you go fishing, can I come? I don't like fishing, 'cause it's mean to fish, but I like how happy Mark looks when he comes back. I want a little of that." Morris couldn't help but chuckle. "You got it, Soph. Next time, we'll make sure you're there. Just don't tell the fish about your plan to sabotage the hooks." As Mark bonded with his friends, and Sophie dreamt of future adventures, Morris reflected on the day. Beneath the mundane moments and playful banter, something had shifted. Mark's world had changed, and though he still had one foot in the life of an ordinary middle schooler, the other was firmly planted in something extraordinary. And Morris knew the balance would be key to whatever came next. An unexpected visit. That night, after a family movie, and the comforting quiet that followed as Mark's house settled into sleep, Mark lay in bed, wide awake. The events of the day, the game, the diner, the revelations about his connection with the Silvers, buzzed in his mind like an untuned radio. He knew the potential of the neural implant and the abilities it unlocked, but he hadn't yet truly tested its limits. He sat up, reached for the teleport gizmo tucked in his bedside drawer, and held it hesitantly. Silver One's words echoed in his head. "Once you are fully connected, you will no longer need the portal key because you will have access to it through your mind." Mark put the gizmo back, took a deep breath, and closed his eyes. "Focus," he muttered to himself. "Just focus." It took him several tries, his concentration flickering like an unsteady candle. Then, suddenly, he felt a jolt, as though something in his mind had aligned. The sensation was strange, yet exhilarating, like unlocking a hidden door. Before he could fully process it, Mark opened his eyes to find himself somewhere new, specifically directly behind the living room couch in Morris's apartment. Mark's triumph over his newfound ability was cut short as he realized Morris wasn't alone. His uncle was sitting on the couch, locked in an enthusiastic makeout session with Jenny, the barista from the cafe next door to the comic store. Mark froze. Morris and Jenny screamed in unison, their terror breaking the silence like a clap of thunder. "What the— Mark!" Morris stammered, his brain short-circuiting as he tried to comprehend what just happened. Jenny shot up from the couch, pointing an accusing finger at Mark. "Who are you? And how did you get in here?" Panic gripped Mark. "I'm so sorry, Uncle Morris. I came in through the window. I needed to talk to you," he mumbled, his thoughts scrambling like marbles spilling across the floor. "Window?" Morris exclaimed, gesturing wildly around the very windowless room. "Mark, that's not even remotely believable. And since when do you just— Jenny interrupted, still visibly shaken. Morris, who is this kid and why does he look like he's just seen a ghost? Morris ran a hand over his face, taking a moment to compose himself. Jenny, this is my nephew, Mark. Mark, this is Jenny. She's, the barista next door. Yes, I know, Mark replied sheepishly. I've seen her before. Hi, Jenny. Jenny straightened her clothes, running a hand through her hair to regain some semblance of dignity. Nice to meet you, Mark. Well, in less terrifying circumstances anyway. Mark glanced at his uncle, awkwardly trying to offer an olive branch. I didn't know you had a girlfriend. Morris hesitated, his face reddening slightly. Neither did I, he muttered. Jenny burst into laughter, the tension easing as she pointed at Morris. This is why I like you. You're hilarious, even when you're embarrassed. Morris waved dismissively, but he couldn't hide a small smirk. Turning to Mark, his expression grew serious. All right, kid. We need to set some boundaries. You can't just show up unannounced. I could have been doing something private. Mark raised an eyebrow. But you've told me like 1,000,000 times that your life is an open book and I'm welcome anytime. Morris groaned. That was before you discovered you could, he gestured vaguely, enter through the window, as you put it. Mark nodded. Okay, I get it. Next time I'll call or text first. Jenny, who had been quietly fixing her skirt, grabbed her bag and stood. Well, I'd better get going. I've got an early shift at the cafe tomorrow. Nice meeting you, Mark. And Morris? She winked, clearly entertained by the chaos. I'll see you later. As Jenny left, Mark and Morris listened to her footsteps echo down the hallway. An awkward silence hung between them until Mark, in a valiant attempt to break the ice, raised his hand for a high five. Not bad, Uncle Morris. She's very cute. Congratulations. Morris stared at him, unimpressed, for a long 3 seconds before finally relenting with a sigh. He slapped Mark's hand. I can't stay mad at you, kid. Now tell me, what's so urgent it couldn't wait until tomorrow? Mark's excitement returned in full force as he tried to explain. Uncle Morris, did you see them? The Silvers, Like, actually see them? Morris squinted, confused. See them? No, I've only heard their voices. What are you talking about? Mark launched into a detailed account of his experience at the baseball field earlier that day. It's like I was standing in this sphere, but the sphere was in the middle of their spaceship. No matter where I moved, the sphere moved with me, and I could see and hear everything around me, like a 50-foot radius, and the Silvers were right next to me, talking to me. I could tune it in and out, like adjusting a dial. I was always at the center. Morris's brow furrowed as he listened. You're telling me you were seeing them in plain day, while at the game? Mark nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, it's like I was there with them and here at the same time. Morris sighed, clearly disappointed. Well, lucky you. I've got the implant, same as you, but all I get is the audio. No fancy spheres or alien holograms for me. Mark shrugged, grinning. Maybe it's because you're an old guy. Brain's too slow to process all the cool stuff. Morris smirked, shaking his head. Careful, kid. You're still in my house, remember? As the night wore on, Mark and Morris discussed the surreal nature of their experiences and what it might mean for the resistance. Despite the awkward start, the bond between them had only grown stronger. Together, they stood at the threshold of an extraordinary mission, one that required trust, ingenuity, and the occasional laugh to keep the weight of the universe from crushing them. The following morning, Mark woke up feeling energized. He grabbed his phone, dialed Morris, and leaned back in his bed, the excitement of their new reality surging through him. When Morris picked up, his voice was groggy. Morning, kid. What's up? My parents and Sophie just left for church, Mark explained. They said I could sleep over longer, so I'm free. Thought I'd teleport over and we could get a jump start on planning. Morris groaned audibly. Lucky you, sleeping in. I'm still recovering from yesterday. My couch is softer than my mattress. I swear that thing is conspiring to break my back. Want me to come over now? Mark asked eagerly. Fine, but let me at least stumble out of bed first. Morris chuckled faintly. You don't need to give me another heart attack like last time. No window tricks this time, got it? Mark grinned. I'll be there soon, Uncle Morris. Maybe I'll even cook breakfast. True to his word, Mark teleported to Morris's apartment with ease. He still felt a flutter of pride every time he used the implant technology. It was like mastering a superpower. Mark materialized in the living room, hearing faint snoring from Morris's bedroom. Seriously, Mark muttered to himself, shaking his head with amusement. The guy really does know how to sleep like a rock. Not one to waste time, Mark took charge in the kitchen. He scavenged through the cabinets and fridge, assembling a simple but hearty breakfast of scrambled eggs, toast, and fresh fruit. Just as he set the plates on the table, Morris stumbled into the living room, wearing mismatched pajamas and looking like someone who'd just lost a fight with his alarm clock. Morris sniffed the air, rubbing his eyes. "You cooked? Kid, you've earned yourself bonus nephew points." "Good morning to you too, Uncle Morris," Mark said with a smirk. "Now sit down and eat. I don't want you falling asleep on me while we plan today." Over breakfast, Morris took charge, his natural leadership instincts kicking in. "All right, first order of business. We need to figure out how this relationship with the Silvers is going to work. Boundaries, expectations, rules. We can't wing this if we're going to succeed." Mark nodded, but seemed less focused on the logistics. "Why don't we just teleport to the ship now and talk to them directly? We'll figure everything out once we're there." Morris frowned, shaking his head. "No, that's rude. The polite thing to do is establish a contact protocol. How they would like us to contact them. The Silvers are partners, not just tools for us to use." Mark tilted his head, considering the argument. "Okay, I get that. It's just so much faster to teleport. But if you think we need to ask, I'll try contacting them." Morris's gaze lingered on Mark for a moment. "I'm still curious why your implant is so much more advanced than mine. You're seeing spheres, holograms, the works. All I get is audio." Mark shrugged, a little apologetic. "I don't know why it's different for me. Maybe it's because of my age, or how my brain processes the connection. Guess I'm lucky." "Or cursed," Morris muttered. "Seeing alien command centers during breakfast sounds exhausting." Mark focused intently, closing his eyes and attempting to activate his connection with the Silvers. The first attempt fizzled out, and he grimaced. "It's harder when I'm trying to force it," he admitted. "Try again," Morris urged, watching him closely. On the second try, Mark felt the familiar sensation of the spherical enclosure taking shape around him. It was as though he were being pulled into the Silver's ship while remaining physically grounded in Morris's living room. The spherical view expanded until the ship's command center materialized clearly in his mind. He could see Silver 1, 2, and 3 seated at their holographic displays, each focused intently on their tasks. "Good morning," Mark greeted them, grinning as he waved at the translucent figures. Silver 1 turned, its yellow eyes glowing faintly. "Good morning, Mark. You have activated this connection efficiently. Minimal instruction was required." Mark beamed at the compliment before asking, "Would it be okay for me and Morris to teleport over? We'd like to discuss how our partnership will work." Silver 2 nodded, its telepathic tone calm but welcoming. "Permission granted. Thank you for the courtesy of asking." Silver 3 added, "It is considerate of you to prioritize communication. Trust is essential." Mark opened his eyes, the spherical view fading as reality snapped back into focus. He glanced at Morris, clearly proud of himself. "They said we can go." "Good," Morris said, downing the last of his coffee. "Lead the way, kid. But remember, this is a team effort. You might have holograms and spheres, but I've still got good ideas." Mark grinned mischievously. "Yeah, but you're old and slow. That's why I'm the brain of this operation." Morris shot him a mock glare. "Keep it up, and I'll make you teleport solo next time." Laughing, Mark activated the portal sequence. The portal opened next to them, and the two of them went through, ready to embark on the next stage of their intergalactic partnership. Though their roles and experiences differed, both knew that their strength would come from working together, and that humanity's future depended on their fragile but promising alliance with the Silvers. As the glowing portal shimmered to life, Mark and Morris stepped through, the transition seamless yet breathtakingly surreal. On the other side, they were greeted by the Silvers, who stood poised and serene in the command center of their ship. Silver 1 spoke first, its telepathic tone calm and polite. "Good morning, Mark." "Good morning, Morris. We are pleased to see you." Mark grinned while Morris nodded, though his mind was already racing with questions. Morning, glad to see you too. Now, about this implant. When can I expect to communicate and teleport without relying on this gizmo? Morris held up the device on his wrist with a hint of frustration. Silver too responded, its voice steady but measured. The technology was installed identically for both of you. However, your brain has not integrated with the implant in the same way Mark's has. This is new territory for us. You are the first members of a different species to undergo this procedure. So I'm stuck with the gizmo while Mark gets the deluxe upgrade, Morris muttered, clearly disappointed. Silver 3, whose tone often carried a softer inflection, replied, Your abilities are not lesser, only different. The interface will adapt in time, but the gizmo will remain your primary tool for now. Your auditory connection is stable, and that is vital for communication. Morris sighed and rolled his shoulders. All right, I'll take it. Not thrilled, but I get it. Thanks for explaining. Silver 3 stepped forward, transitioning the conversation with a determined yet patient tone. Before any recruitment of humans to this cause, the trial of worthiness must take precedence. Mark tilted his head, intrigued. What does that mean exactly? Silver 1 answered, its voice resonant with authority. You, Mark, will continue your life as usual. We will virtually accompany you, observing everything you say, do, or experience. Our analysis will be ongoing. Morris glanced between them, his skepticism bubbling to the surface. Wait, virtually accompany him? You're saying you'll be spying on him 24/7? Silver 2 clarified firmly. Not spying. Observing. This is essential for assessing humanity's potential. Mark has shown exceptional aptitude, and as such, he will take the lead in this mission. You, Morris, will serve in an advisory role to guide him. The weight of the statement sank in, and Morris folded his arms. So he gets the driver's seat, and I'm stuck as his co-pilot. Silver 3 interjected. Your role is vital. Mark's strengths align with leadership, but your wisdom and experience are crucial in navigating the complexities of this endeavor. Mark placed a hand on Morris's arm, offering a reassuring smile. Come on, Uncle Morris, you're the one who always says teamwork makes the dream work. Morris chuckled faintly. Yeah, fine. But you better not crash the ship, kid.